Hello, everybody, for being here today. My name is Abraham Bearpaw. I am the Special Projects Officer for Cherokee Nation Community and Cultural Outreach. So, in any other year, you probably would have seen me already. We probably would have been out your way with the chief at one of the events. Of course, during these times, you'll see me a lot on the computer. Um, but what my position is and what I really want to do is to make all of you feel like you have access to all of the culture and language resources and everything that every other citizen does who lives on reservation. So, to tell you a little bit about myself, I just came back to Oklahoma in August. I spent the last 6 years in Southern California. I worked for the Torres Martinez tribe out in the desert down there, and it was hot. It got to about 120 degrees out there in the desert, so it was a big change. And before then, I lived in Oregon. I lived on the Klamath Reservation and worked for their tribe out there. So my daughter, she's actually half Klamath, Klamath Modoc. She actually lives on the Lummi Reservation right now with her mother. So she's out your way too. I actually have a lot of family out in the Pacific Northwest. My family got relocated from Oklahoma in the 50s and was sent out to San Francisco. And from most of my family, found their way back to Oklahoma. But if you guys ever run into any man killers or bear paw out in the Pacific Northwest, I wouldn't be surprised. I have a couple uncles who had a lot of kids. Um, but today, one of the things I want to talk to you about and have a conversation with you guys. I don't want to just talk at you guys, but I'd like to get input from you guys here in a little bit also. We're going to talk about walking in balance, and we're going to talk about how to stay connected to language and culture, even though you do live so far from the reservation. These topics are very near and dear to my heart because until recently, I was an at-large citizen. I spent pretty much my entire adult life coming back and forth. Um, I loved to travel. I loved every tribe. I loved, visiting every tribe, working with different tribes, living in different parts of the country. I've lived in Boston, lived the Pacific Northwest, lived pretty much all over the country. And the one thing that I've really noticed, visiting all the different tribes is how similar we are. We really do the exact same things. We have different names for our ceremonies, a little different way that we practice some of our ceremonies. Our language is different, but at the core of our beliefs, we really believe the same things. Gratitude, spirituality, gadugi, helping one another. Um, these are really, central to, all Native culture. And that's what was really awesome to me. I spent some time up in Standing Rock also. When they were having that incident, I just went up to do whatever I could, chop wood, carry water, help out in any way that I could. And I met people from all different tribes, and they were, really just like us. They talked about the same things every day in the morning. They talked about gratitude. They all got up and prayed. And there were some people actually who came out and sang some stomp dance songs, some Cherokees and some Creeks from Oklahoma. And so it's I totally get how you can feel disconnected from your people out there, but you guys have a very active community. With Joseph, Mary, all of you guys together, and that's one of the things I want to emphasize today is that even though you are off reservation, you are still practicing Gadugi, everything that Cherokees hold dear. And so I think that's really awesome. And I want to commend you for that. In this next year, I was just talking to Joseph a little bit about it. We have this new committee that's been formed. And so I think there's going to be a lot more opportunity access, for all of the Cherokee Nation programs and language to come your way. So that's a little bit about me. You know, Another thing that's important about me is I'm in recovery. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for over 8 years now. And so, I grew up in our native culture and in stomp dance ways. And when you go to the stomp ground, you're not supposed to drink. You know, and so I grew up, raised in this culture, but of course, I turned 21. I went through the American rite of passage. People bought me my first beer and all that stuff, and it just turns out I have an allergy. I'm allergic to alcohol. Like a lot of other alcoholics, I break out in handcuffs a lot of times when I drink too much. So it's one of those things, but it's been our Cherokee culture that has really helped me to be able to walk in balance and to be able to work a program. So that's where I really got walking in balance from. Of course, there's a lot of the similarity with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, but there's also a lot of similarity to every other Native culture. They talk about the same thing. For Cherokees, though, I believe that to be able to walk in balance, we still have, unlike a lot of other tribes, we are so lucky because we still have our language. We still have our ceremonies and songs. We still have our arts, basket making, pottery that's been passed down. We still have our games, stickball, these other ones. We still have a lot of our hunting techniques, fishing techniques, and our relationships, our culture is still a lot of the same. In Cherokee culture is a matriarchal society, and a lot of times you're closer to your mom's brothers than you are to your own father. And that was the case in my case. It was my uncles on my mom's side who were responsible for my cultural upbringing. And so a lot of these things, they've been passed down through the generations, and we're just really lucky to continue to have these things. I'm just going to go ahead and skip doing the PowerPoint altogether. I just want to talk about a little bit about, so even though you are an at-large community, what can you do to maintain that togetherness, that Gadug, together? So for me, the biggest thing that worked for me was forming a community first. I was very lucky. We had the LA Cherokees down there. We had Inland Empire Cherokees. And so I was very lucky to have an active group. So I think that's very important. So by you guys just participating, you guys could be doing anything today. You could have left early to go get your lunch. You could have caught the ball game live, but you're not. You're here and you're doing this. And for the reason is to be able to pass it on to your children, and then for them to pass it on to their children. And in 100 years, who knows what kind of flourishing Cherokee community we could have in the Pacific Northwest. And unlike a lot of other tribes I see with, they deal with blood quantum and a lot of these, really hurtful things that I feel like take away from their tribe. Our tribe keeps getting bigger. We keep getting more and more tribal members, and even though we have lost a certain number of language speakers, we now have really innovative language programs to start to build that back up. So one of the things, I try to do, I'm not a first language speaker myself, is every day I just practice a little bit. If I don't have time to sit and do, or make myself feel bad about it. Oh, I should be, I use one word, 2 words. I use a phrase. I use whatever I can because our children are watching us, and my son, he's 21 now, 21. Yeah. He's 21 now, and he'll just out of the blue, say something about Cherokee culture that I passed on to him, or, a phrase in Cherokee or something. And it's those times that really warms my heart. And I feel like, what? This battling I've been doing, to maintain our culture and to get our language back into our home, it's worth it. It's worth the work. And so, one of the things also, even though it is not Cherokee, is powwow. That's another way for people to feel like they, it's maybe not a part of the Cherokee community, but be a part of the Native community, in general. And so in Southern California, I actually started a powwow dance class. We started a ribbon skirt making class. We started a beading class. So these things aren't necessarily Cherokee per se, but it invited a lot of different tribes to come in and work with us. And like I said, we're all the same. We share the same values. And so those things were really helpful, for a lot of the people in our area who really missed the reservation and felt like they weren't a part of it anymore. So, so that's one of the things, and then one other thing I wanted to share just a little bit about is I'm not sure if everybody has been able to get back home to to go to a stomp ground and be a part of our stomp dance. So that is one of the mainstays of Cherokee spirituality. We have other ceremonies, other songs, and other ways to make medicine. And one of the things I talk about a lot is making medicine is can be really involved and really intricate, but it could also be as simple as burning some cedar and saying a prayer for a loved one, burning some sage, gathering sage. That's making medicine also. And so even though you cannot get back maybe to be a part of the stomp ground and be a part of that aspect of Cherokee spirituality, my uncle always told me when we'd go to the stomp ground, he always told me that eating together and that fellowship and playing stickball was just as important as our actual dances at night and singing the songs and everything. Now I asked him why that was, because I always, I grew up, I made sure I practiced my songs. I wanted to learn how to lead stomp dance. I was very involved in the stomp ground because I felt like that was at the heart of our strength. That fire is what has kept, Cherokee people going, through all these years. I feel like we do get strength, from our songs and our ceremonies and our language that have been passed down. And he said it was all about gratitude and it was all about the creator. So when we go to the stomp ground, I was always taught there were two poles that marked the driveway to get to the stomp ground. And when I was real little, my uncle would point at those poles and he said, as soon as you pass those poles, you no longer have enemies. All of your anger, jealousy, resentment, all of that, you have to leave it right there. And it was really weird because I'd get onto the stomp ground and I just felt so light and free. I didn't have any of that jealousy, any of that, resentment, any of the, because I grew up, I had a traumatic childhood, but I was able to leave it all right there. And it was about that gratitude and it was about fellowship. And my uncle said, being a part of Cherokee spirituality, the eating together, and the good way of thinking was just as important as our actual songs and dances. So after, we would eat, we would go and play stickball, and it was rough. I'm sure you guys have all, had the chance to play and everything. The women would throw us around and, have no mercy on us. And, but the whole time we were laughing. And, my uncle always explained to it, that's what it is about. That's what Cherokee culture and living the Cherokee lifestyle is about, is that laughter and that helping one another and laughing together. He said, that's what the creator wants to see. So, even though you cannot be a part of the stomp ground right now, what I would do at my home in Southern California, when I knew it was Saturday, I knew there was the first Saturday of the month, somebody was dancing, I'd get a group together and let's play stickball. Let's have a meal together. That's what it's all about. So even, we don't have the songs right now out in the Pacific Northwest. We don't have no dances or anything. Just doing that is just as big a part of everything as the actual stomp dance. Although it is my goal to have everybody who does want to come for a stomp dance once the pandemic is over, that's my big, that's on my wish list. And I think we can definitely make that happen. To get you guys down here to the stomp ground, get you guys shaking shells. We can get people out to your area or even have, a Zoom class if you guys want to learn how to shake shells. We can teach about how to make the cans because a lot of the women now, they just wear cans. And so, later they'll get, a pair of turtles, after they've been shaking for a while. But everybody, the women in my family, they all wear cans. And so, we can do those types of things also. So I just want to commend you guys because I think you guys have a really vibrant community. You're very strong. I know that Joseph said you guys have weekly meetings just to check in, help each other out. Mary and Joseph have talked to me about the language programs that you guys have going. I'm actually going to ask Mary to help me because we're going to be making little booklets once a month, we're going to start sending out little booklets of 25 phrases and words to work on for that month to get us conversational. So, at the end of the year, we can have 300 phrases that we all know, and we can, start to converse that way. And then after that year, then we can start to take advantage of some of these more advanced Cherokee classes, that the tribe offers. But it's hard and it's intimidating if your Cherokee isn't really there. But my goal is with this sending out this booklet is we can at least have everybody knowing the same thing, working on the same thing for that month. That way we can begin to use the language with each other and, pull each other closer that way. So that's pretty much, all I really wanted to talk about, but I wanted to get input from you guys also about, in the future, because this is my whole job. I came back, I was really felt compelled to come back to Oklahoma. I'm sure a lot of you may know Stillwell, Oklahoma, my hometown. We have the lowest life expectancy in the entire country. I think it's average life expectancy is 55 years. And, for me to be out there working with other tribes, living my best life, you know, I really felt like I wasn't, I felt like I needed to come home and do work. I felt like with my background in recovery, that's a big issue that we have, of course, drugs and alcohol, I also wanted to help people, get access to the language and our culture. And, I still see, the dirty little Cherokee kid running around. That was me in the woods, and so, I want to make sure that I come back and I'm able to give back for everything that was given to me. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here for you guys. I'm here to grow these programs, because I feel really passionate about it, and I'm really feel blessed because of all the work you guys are doing. It's not glamorous work. It's hard work, to build these communities up. These aren't paid positions. You know what I mean? And so what do you get out of it? It's that sense of being together, that sense of being Cherokee, and you do it for no other reason than each other. And I feel like, that's the best reason to do anything. And so, I'm just really excited about this next year, all the ideas that we have, but I want new ideas also. So any ideas that you guys have about new programs that we should do, areas of emphasis, I would really like to hear them because, I'm excited to get all this together. So, hello, everybody. I appreciate you guys listening to me rant for a little bit. And